Hello everyone, welcome back to ESL DRILL. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing so that you can get updated whenever I post a new video. In this video, let's learn how to use in spite of and despite. At the end of this video, I'll give you a bonus tip about using in spite of in a different way. So please don't miss. Watch the video till the end. Let's see how to use in spite of and despite. In spite of acts as a preposition. It's a preposition. Actually, it's an idiom and it can be used as a preposition. Let's see what a preposition is. A preposition is a word or group of words such as in, from, to, out of, and on behalf of, and this preposition is used before a noun or pronoun and it shows place, position, time, or method. Now let's see an example for each of these, like place, position, time, and method. I live in Ongole. Now here in this sentence, in is a preposition and it shows place. In shows place. They are standing behind the wall. Now here in this sentence, behind shows position. And look at another one. She will arrive here at 3 o'clock. Here at shows time. And I killed the mouse with a rod. Here it shows method or manner. Manner in which something happened or something is done. Okay. Let's see the meaning of in spite of. See here, in spite of. That's a 3-word preposition. We call it compound preposition because it has more than one word. Okay, in spite of is used before one fact that makes another fact surprising. Okay, it means we are dealing with two facts. Let's see how in example sentences. Kohli was injured. He played. Kohli was injured. He played. Now, the first fact is Kohli was injured. And the second fact is he played. But the first fact should not allow the second fact to happen. But see here, he played, it happened. So it is surprising for us. Actually, this fact that Kohli was injured should not allow this fact, but it happened. So Kohli was injured, he played. Now how can we combine these two sentences or join these two sentences using in spite of? Look at this here. In spite of being injured, Kohli played. Or you can say in spite of the injury, Kohli played. Okay, let's learn how you get this one. I mean, like being injured or injury. Let's see all those things. Now, in spite of plus a noun or a non-finite verb. Non-finite verb. Usually, we use gerund. Gerund is verb 1 plus ing used as a noun. Gerund can be a noun that's also called a verbal noun. A verb acting as a noun, verbal noun. Gerund is V1 plus ing. So that is what we are talking about here when we say non-finite verb. Okay, we can use a noun or a noun phrase or a non-finite verb, especially gerund. Okay, that is a structure and we write the next clause after this. Look at this here. In spite of being poor, he helps others. Now here, being is gerund, non-finite verb. So we use be, V1 plus ing. In spite of being poor, he helps others. We use the clause as it is. Look at this here. We can also say this. In spite of his poverty, he helps others. So his poverty is a noun phrase. His poverty, noun phrase. Being poor, a gerund is a verbal noun. It acts as a noun. So being poor, being, that's a gerund there. Okay, in spite of his poverty, he helps others. In spite of being poor, he helps others. Both are the same. In spite of is the same as despite, but note one thing there. After despite, we should not use of. In spite of is equal to despite. Look at this here. In spite of problems, he succeeded. Now, how can we say this using despite? Despite problems, he succeeded. Note that there is no of after despite. So both of them are the same. Okay, let's look at a few example sentences. Here we have a pair of sentences, two sentences. Let's try and put them together, join them using in spite of and despite. In spite of being overweight, he ran very fast. Here we have added ing to verb 1. The verb here is be. Be, was is a be form, so we use be and ing. In spite of being overweight, he ran very fast. See, we have not made any changes to the second one here, second part. Okay, let's look at despite. No change at all, except we write despite, or we use despite in place of in spite of. Despite being overweight, he ran very fast. Let's look at another one. There was heavy rain, but they played. So the thing that you should note here is, there is this word but. But is a word which shows contrast from the earlier one. So there was heavy rain, and this heavy rain should not allow this one. They played. It should actually stop them from doing so, from playing, but they played. So when we use in spite of, we should not use words like but, yet. Okay, let's see how we do that. In spite of heavy rain, they played. So we used heavy rain, a noun phrase, and we have not made any changes to this except removing this word but. In spite of heavy rain, they played. And how about despite? Despite heavy rain, they played. No change at all, except there should not be any of after despite. Despite heavy rain, they played. Let's move to the third one. He is old. He leads a very active life. He is old. He leads a very active life. In spite of being old, he leads a very active life. Make sure you put a comma after in spite of and that noun or noun phrase. In spite of being old, he leads a very active life. See here, is a be form, so we added be and ing form. Being old, he leads a very active life. Now, how can we say that in a different way? Instead of being old, we can say his old age, because we are talking about a man, his old age. In spite of his old age, he leads a very active life. Again, his old age is a noun phrase. Okay, what about despite? Despite being old, he leads a very active life. Now, I have used only one example here, and you can do the same thing with despite, just like we did here with the second one. Despite his old age, he leads a very active life. Remember this one. In spite of is equal to despite. Never use of after despite. Okay, let's look at number 4. She had pain in her leg. She finished the race. Let's look at in spite of first. In spite of the pain in her leg, she finished the race. In spite of the pain in her leg, she finished the race. So I have changed this into this one, the pain in her leg. This is a noun phrase. And what about another way? In spite of having pain in her leg. See here, since we have a verb here, have, had, we can add ing form to it. In spite of having pain in her leg, she finished the race. both mean exactly the same. It's not possible with every sentence to write in two ways or to say in two ways, but it's possible here. Let's look at despite. Despite the pain in her leg, she finished the race. I have used the first way here, and with despite you can use this one as well. Despite having pain in her leg, she finished the race. Okay, let's move to the next one. He studied hard, he did not pass the exam. He studied hard, he did not pass the exam. See here, they are contrasty. There is a lot of contrast, difference. He studied hard, and this fact should actually make him pass the exam, but it did not happen. It did not stop him from failing. So let's see how we can use in spite of. In spite of studying hard, he did not pass the exam. Look at this here, studied hard. Study is the verb one, and we add ing to it. In spite of studying hard, he did not pass the exam. You have a comma here and then a full stop at the end. Let's look at despite. The same. Despite studying hard, he did not pass the exam. Same. Let's move to the next one, that is number 6. The weather was bad, we had a great time. The weather was bad, we had a great time. Look at this here. In spite of the weather being bad, we had a great time. See here. Here in the first sentence, the weather is the subject. In the second sentence, we is the subject. Because we have two different subjects, we have to mention the first subject here. In spite of the weather being bad. We can't say in spite of being bad. No, in spite of the weather being bad is correct. We had a great time. So again, we use the subject and we used be form, be and ing. In spite of the weather being bad, we had a great time. Now, let's look at another way. We can change this weather was bad to the bad weather, a noun phrase. Look at this here. In spite of the bad weather, we had a great time. Both are absolutely the same. Let's look at despite. I have given only one way. Despite the bad weather, we had a great time. You can also say, despite the weather being bad, we had a great time. Let's look at the next one. That is number 7. He was tired. He kept working. See here, in both the sentences, the subject is he. Let's look at in spite of. In spite of being tired, he kept working. If you have a different subject here, you can say his being tired or her being tired. We can say that. But in both the cases, we have the same subject. So we need not mention the subject here. We can mention it here once. In spite of being tired, he kept working. Was is a be form. So be plus ing, being tired. Okay. In spite of his tiredness. So I told you that it is possible with some cases, with some sentences, like, being tired, and this tired can be used in, as a noun if you make a change to it. So tiredness. In spite of his tiredness, he kept working. The same meaning. There's no change in it. Let's look at the next one. Okay. Despite. Despite being tired, he kept working. Or you can use despite his tiredness, he kept working. Let's look at number 8. I had a headache. I enjoyed the film. I had a headache. I enjoyed the film. In spite of having a headache, see here, we have had, the base form is have, and we add ing, having. In spite of having a headache, I enjoyed the film. But look at this here. In spite of the headache, I enjoyed the film. Now, who had headache here? Who had a headache here? I. Who enjoyed? I. The subjects are the same, so we need not mention anything here. In spite of the headache, I enjoyed the film. And with despite having a headache, I enjoyed the film. Or you can say, despite the headache, I enjoyed the film. At the beginning, I told you, In fact, I promised that I would be sharing a bonus tip at the end of this video. Here it is. In spite of the fact that. This in spite of the fact that acts as a conjunction. Let's see it in action. In spite of the fact that acts as though, although. They are conjunctions. Look at this pair of sentences. They are very poor, yet they are happy. Now here, yet should be avoided. That's why I have underlined it. When used in spite of or despite, we should not use yet, but these words. Okay, let's see how we can combine these two sentences with in spite of the fact that. Earlier, when we used in spite of, we made certain changes here to the verb. So we found the verb like here, be plus ing, but here there is no need to do such things at all. See the magic here. In spite of the fact that they are very poor, comma, they are happy. Look at this. We haven't made any changes except removing this word yet. In spite of the fact that they are very poor, they are happy. Because this group of words acts as a conjunction, we can write the sentences directly. With despite, same thing, but without of. Despite the fact that they are very poor, comma, they are happy. Despite the fact that they are very poor, they are happy. Simple, isn't it? Okay, let's look at one more example. She was ill. She went to work. See this. In spite of the fact that she was ill, comma, she went to work. We haven't made any changes at all. We removed the full stop and we put the sentences together after separating them with a comma. Of course, we have a full stop at the end. In spite of the fact that she was ill, she went to work. Okay. Look at despite. Same. Despite the fact that she was ill, she went to work. That's all about using in spite of, or despite, in spite of the fact that, despite the fact that. I hope everything is clear now. I hope you have learned how to use these. So thank you very much for watching. If you have really liked, hit that like button, share and subscribe to the channel. That would motivate me to make more videos. I'll see you in my next video.